So this is the continuation of my interview with Sharon, and we're talking about what are essential components of a successful professional learning community.
Okay. So if I'm looking at it from what I've seen in the past and what I see now and what I might do different or we have done different, in the past we on occasion had meetings, very far and few between, very few updates on paperwork and new rules and all those kinds of things. So with the way we've been doing it now for several years, due to number one, a strong leadership, and it takes that because I can tell we can all talk at once, every one of us, but with a strong setup, organized plan that we have for the day, and now looking forward to having everybody have some input and teaching some part of something that they know a little bit more maybe about or more interested in. I think we're getting more information, we're more up to date. Our C's program is keeping us all informed on, and yet we have the ability to talk to each other and figure out how to do some things that we don't know how to do. I'm not sure I'd change a whole lot other than the possibility maybe of cutting some of us off once in a while when we talk too much because we're pretty good at that. But it's I think essential to be able to see what the others are doing and see what kind of problems they deal with, because we know what ones we're dealing with, and actually we all have the same issues going on, but sometimes it feels like you're the only ones out there, you know.
It might be easy to see how this would be beneficial to a newer teacher because they don't have the experience, but what about a veteran teacher? How would they benefit from this kind of sharing?
Oh, I can always learn new things. And I mean, look at us. We've had someone move into our staff who's an expert basically in a field that none of us are experts in. She has the ability to teach us so much if we had even more time to listen to her. We have our techie person who is, Megan, is just, she does everything on computer. She shows us all kinds of new things. It gives us a chance to buy into certain parts that help us. You know, I think a veteran teacher should be wide open to learning.
What are some of the objections that administrators who have one service provider, right? What objections would they have to sending them to to work in a group of people that they don't really teach with or work with? Why collaborate with a PLC that aren't people that you work with on a daily basis?
I would hope that it would be so that you would bring in new information to the ones that you do work with on a daily basis, and a way to upgrade everything that we do, which is why almost all of us go to trainings every time we get a chance. So, what I mean, it's the same kind of thing. It's a training. I can't imagine an objection to that. I suppose there are, but not in my book, so okay.
Do you think the term professional learning community is an appropriate name for
Absolutely.
This kind of environment? Why is
that?
Yeah,
Hopefully, I mean, from what I see, every one of the team members are professionals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when you go back to your staff and you know people who don't have PLCs to link into, how do you see a difference in how they perform their jobs?
I would have to say, well, first of all, we really have a pretty good setup where I am, and
Good.
They travel to meetings together and learn new. I think what I see there is them going and learning, let's say reading, for example, and new programs, and they're implementing them, where the special ed people don't go to those, so we aren't up on the methods that they're using. Mm-hmm. So I can see where that would make you feel like you're not a part of what they're doing.
Okay.
I'm sure they feel the same way, where we meet and we've got all the paperwork and things that we have to do. They really aren't informed about those because they're not at those meetings. Mm-hmm. So it can make a bit of a split there, but I mean, there's lots of ways to work around that, and we try very hard to do that. But I can see where that would be a...
And if you knew a professional who didn't have the opportunity to talk with people who taught their same grade or their same subject, didn't have that kind of a PLC to link into, they might go to conferences, but they don't really get a chance to establish a format where they meet monthly with people who do similar things. What effect does that have on their performance?
Oh, I would say that was me for the first 15, 20 years of being with North Central ESD, and that I didn't have anybody, we didn't have the meeting, so I didn't have anybody else that was in the same field I'm in, and there were huge gaps that I needed to learn and fill, and had no way to get the information. Has changed totally by having our meetings and being able to meet and be with the other people that are in the same field I'm in. You know, my special ed partner can give me a lot of advice. I can hopefully do the same to her, but it's not quite the same as another speech path person who's dealing with the same kinds of problems.
Mm-hmm.
So working alone is not the best way by any means. Yeah, you know.
And in this particular PLC, you guys were the ones who came to us and said, this reporting system we have is not working, and you convinced us we needed to try something else. So have you got a sense that it's a responsive environment, that the leaders are?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
how does that change the PLC?
Well, how has it changed the PLC? I think it's brought us closer together again. It's added to our knowledge base that we didn't have before. It's made us much more aware of changes and new things very quickly versus, I mean, there was times, a couple of years before, we knew that there were new laws, new whatever coming down the pike. Now we know.
And the fact that the leadership listened and said, you guys know what you're doing, we need to do what's going to work for you.
Absolutely.
Did they give you a different feel for how the PLC was functioning? It's
Absolutely.
not as opposed to top down entirely?
Oh, I think we all feel like a team.
Good.
We really do. It still takes someone directing and leading along, but I think we all feel like we're part of a team. I mean, we go to meetings, we all meet together, even though we work 100 miles apart. We still all do things as a group when we're at the meetings, and there's no somebody's higher up than the other.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody feels that way.
Good. And so would you recommend PLCs in this model?
In this model. What we do now, I think, is a really good setup. And I think it's only going to get better, because I think we all have had the ability to say what we do or don't like, or how we might change something, how old non-tech people can learn to keep up.
Well, you do keep up quite well.
Not everything, but I'm having to scrape pretty hard sometimes. Thank you, Danny. Tell me again what I have to do.
Good team behind them, yeah. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay. You didn't even buy